Hello everyone. It is indeed a pleasure to introduce Dr. Harivansh Chaturvedi, Director, BIMTECH, Greater Noida. He is also an alternate President of EPSI, India. Welcome, sir. To start with, we would just like to know more about the new education policy, which has come in the year 2020. And based on the new education policies recommendations and the earlier education policies which were launched in the year 1968 and 1986, how the world is going to change with respect to higher education in the present context?
Thank you, Dr. Navin, Shrivastava. I am of the view that the first two national education policies which were announced in 1968 1986 respectively were having the legacy of the British regime in India. We have adopted the higher education system or the university system from Britain, and we are having mostly the affiliating colleges in large number with universities in all parts of the country. The affiliating system of the colleges become obsolete, difficult to manage, and it has created a stumbling block in improving the quality of higher education in our university system. NEP 2020 has attempted to frame a policy for a new India which has grown exponentially after 1991 economic reforms, and after joining the globalization process, India has become a strong, vibrant economy, which required an education system, both school education and higher education, which can work up to the expectations of the young teeming millions of the country. So, NEP 2020 has made a big shift from the earlier policies by recommending the closure of affiliating system in universities. Of course, it has given a time frame, but also it has thought about giving choices to the young people in seeking higher education, that they can take courses from different faculties. So far, the earlier education policies has not provided this choice. So they can pick up courses from different faculties. They were also given choice to study in more than one college or one university by doing 1 year course at one place and another year course at other place. So these were some of the big changes, and NEP 2020 also given the target that by 2030 our gross enrollment ratio should become 50% of the age group of 18 to 23 years. So I think NEP 2020 has provided a good backdrop, a good roadmap for higher education and school education relevant for the 21st century needs of India.
Thank you, sir. Having heard a lot about NEP 2020, while I was going through the literature of NEP 2020, I found that there are 3 recommendations of NEP 2020. The first is talking about multidisciplinarity. The second is talking about the degree conferring right to be provided to the PGDM institutions. As well as the third very important point which it is talking about is giving 3,000 seats to the PGDM institutions by the year 2035. Are these doable, sir? And if so, what are the roadmap forward for the upcoming institutions?
So now you're asking this question in the context of the NEP implications for management institutions.
Right.
And you know that management education in our country is provided by different kinds of organizations. For example, the first one and foremost is IIMs, which are globally known as the Management Education Centers of Excellence. Then second is the university sector, which comprises central universities, deemed universities, and state public and private universities. Then of course there are standalone institutions. The number is around 300 plus, and which are also known as PGDM institutions. And this program, PGDM program, which was unaffiliated program, came into existence way back in 1990s as a corollary to the IIMs. When IIMs were set up in 1960s, the founder of the IIM Ahmedabad, Vikram Sarabhai, has suggested to the then Prime Minister that IIMs should not be set up under the university system because university systems were opposed to the changes, and they have adopted the French system where the B schools are set up by the Chamber of Commerce rather than by a university. So the IIMs were given freedom to frame their courses and give their diplomas, which were duly recognized by the Government of India and accepted widely by multinational companies and Indian companies. So I think PGDM institutions are the third major sector, and now the implication is that the IIMs have been given degree conferring right under the IIM Act 2017, but PGDM institutions have been facing the issue that what will be the fate of standalone institutions under the NEP 2020. I would like to say that management institutions, they do not require to set up non-management faculties like law faculty or engineering faculty or the fine arts faculty. They belong to a discipline which is itself multidisciplinary. Management is confluence of the disciplines drawn from social sciences, natural sciences, and liberal arts, humanities. So it is a confluence. And management education should not be asked to set up a non-management faculty which will be unnecessary burden, and they cannot focus on creating excellence in a wide discipline which is called management. So I am of the view that multidisciplinarity is already inbuilt in management education. Of course, they can offer more new courses based on cross-disciplinary programs, like cross-disciplinary program based on the fusion of marketing with analytics, fusion of finance with analytics, or fusion of operations with artificial intelligence, etc., etc. So I think these schools should not be worried about this fact, because they are already running a discipline which is multidisciplinary. Number two, gaining strength of 3,000 by 2035. There are concern among these schools because standalone institutions are having an average intake of around 500-600 most of these schools, because the ICT has been very conservative in giving large number of intake to standalone institutions, and I do not know any school having 3,000 intake capacity right now, but I think if they start undergraduate programs as per the recent announcement by ICT chairman to start at these schools, standalone these schools can start undergraduate program, BBA program, and if they offer new courses as a cross-disciplinary courses under the management, and or the new types of courses which are relevant in the current context of disrupting technologies and Industry 5.0, they can reach to 3,000 within next 10 years or so. Of course, they will have to expand their infrastructure. And the third condition of NEP, that granting the degree conferring right to PGDM institutions, I am hopeful. AICT has already appointed a committee under the chairmanship of Dr. Navin. I was also invited by the AICT to converse and to have discussion with this committee a few months back at IIM Nagpur campus. More than 100 representatives of PGDM institutions were assembled, and we have discussed what can be the modus operandi for granting the degree conferring right to standalone institutions. So I am hopeful that the AICTE and this committee headed by Dr. Vetri, they will be able to reach a conclusion, and before AICTE and UGC are merged into the proposed Higher Education Commission of India, the future and fate of the PGDM institutions should be decided.
Again, after this conversation, the real curiosity is really rising very high at my end, right? And that's why my next question is connected to this PGDM 300 plus institutions that we have in parallel to the IIMs who have already got the degree conferring rights. How are they going to compete with the IIMs? And is it fine to allow these PGDM 300 institutions to have the degree conferring rights? How good it will be, and what are the caveats involved into it?
I think giving degree conferring rights to all kinds of PGDM institutions will be a risky affair, and I have spoken in IIM Nagpur also that there should be some criteria. Only good institutions having good quality, they should be given the degree conferring right, and there can be 10 parameters, and out of those 10 parameters, if any PGDM institution is fulfilling 7 or 8 parameters, they can be given the degree conferring rights.
That brings it.
This is my view, and what else you were asking?
And about how prepared are these PGDM 300 plus institutions? First is the criteria that we have of out of 10, they have to qualify on 8, right? Is the AICTE or the regulatory body also doing something to take care of the upliftment of these institutions?
I think the policy of the government is to frame new policies and give a roadmap, but they are bereft or they are not having sufficient resources to fund their own institutions. So their responsibility, they say, that is towards the central government sponsored institutions.
Right.
So for infrastructural growth, I am of the view that the institutions should be given loan by HEFA. So far, HEFA, Higher Education Financing Agency, which is a company in partnership with Canara Bank, set up by the Ministry of Education, is funding only government-owned institutions, IIT and IIMs, giving loan to them. I think private sector should be also given the facility of getting loan from HEFA on low interest. This interest should not be more than 3-4%, because the growth of higher education or the growth of infrastructure in higher education management institution will also benefit the country. And if they are not given this facility, they will have to borrow from private banks, which will charge high interest rates. That will create problem in their balance sheet. So I am of the view that the Ministry of Education should use or allow HEFA to grant soft loans to standalone institutions which have to expand very fastly to fulfill the provisions of NEP 2020.
So another important question that comes to the mind, and as to especially related to the PGDM 300 plus institutions, that those are actually looking forward. One way is this degree conferring rights, and the other two recommendations that they have. The other is the deemed university status, right? How and what is going to be the state of the deemed university status with respect to the changing dimensions and the paradigms with respect to NEP 2020?
Deemed university, UGC has recently released their new guidelines, and there are some essential conditions that only any college or institution can be granted deemed university status if they have accreditation with them with high score. Secondly, their students intake should be around 3,000, and they should have faculty around 150.
Right.
So on these three conditions, the last two conditions will be difficult for showing 3,000 students. Right now it is difficult for standalone PGDM institutions. As I told that I do not know any institution having 3,000 intake And secondly, having 100 faculty is also difficult because there is a scarcity of good faculty. And we cannot take anybody just for fulfilling the number parameter. So I think Deep University can be one route, but it is needed that its conditions should be relaxed for standalone institutions.
Thank you. Then something where I'm going to become a little personal to the institution that I am associated with, and I'm very much affiliated to.
I am also associated with you.
So, sir, our institution, Birla Institute of Management Technology. Sir, the point is, we have got the autonomy, graded autonomy at present. How prepared are we to take up the NEP 2020 challenge, and based on the kind of initiatives that we are taking in our institution?
Navin, I think that our institution has done very well during last 10-15 years.
Right, sir.
We have followed the right track by getting accreditation from 2 national agencies, NBA and NEP. We have recruited faculty, we have developed faculty, we have developed a beautiful 10 acres campus. We were not having the residential campus at Delhi from where we have started our journey. So Greater Noida campus has accelerated our progress in the right direction, and the people came from different parts of the country to study here and to teach here. Our student and faculty communities are diverse communities, and it is not dominated by the place or the location where we are located. So I'm of the view that after getting international accreditation from ASCSB USA, there should be no problem for our institute to fulfill the conditions of NEP.
Great.
And like introducing new courses, we have already announced that from the academic session 2024-25, we are starting a new PGDM course which will be called PGDM Artificial Intelligence and Data Science.
Yes.
So this course will be cutting as technology course, and it will be offered only those who are having engineering background or some work experience in the industry. So continuously we have been innovating in offering courses. We have introduced full-time courses, first time in India in insurance and retailing. So similarly, in the era of technological disruption, Industry 5.0, we are going to introduce this course. So we shall be offering multidisciplinary courses in management. Number 2, we shall be increasing our intake. Our current intake has reached to 2,000, because if we club the number of students offering pursuing our online courses and full-time courses, it is 2,000.
Right.
And within next 3 years, we shall add 1,000 more students. For that, we are expanding our infrastructure. Right now, our intake will be increased in view of our infrastructure expansion, which is just on the last leg of the completion. In our academic block, we have added one more floor, which will provide more classrooms, more seminar hall capacity, more offices for the faculty, more meeting rooms, more laboratory rooms, etc. So we are expanding our infrastructure. We are recruiting good faculty from all parts of the country. Right now our faculty strength is 75. Within 3 years it will cross more than 100. So I think we are on the right track to move ahead. Within next 7-10 years, say 2033 or 35, BIMTECH will be one of the top most institution in private sector in our country. It will be known outside India also. Already foreign students from 7 countries have joined BIMTECH during last 2 years. So I think the future of BIMTECH is very bright. We have faculty like you, and there are many, and we are always giving emphasis to merit and quality rather than any other criteria, and believing in the aspiration that India has to become one of the top economy of the world, a developed country by 2047. we shall be contributing to the nation for achieving this big goal in the 100th year of our independence. So I think BIMTECH is already known to the industry and academia across the country, but after getting ACSB accreditation and working very fast for fulfilling the requirements of NEP 2020, BIMTECH will surely become a deemed university or a degree conferring institution, and that is the dream we have seen in year 2005 when we shifted to the new campus at Greater Noida. We have created a university in eastern part of the country at Bhubaneswar, and we are also looking for some more opportunities which I would not like to disclose at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We are fairly placed, and this is really a sigh of relief for all of us and a moment of pleasure to really that we are ready to uplift ourselves and to reach up to that highest level. So a couple of more questions, just last few questions. One is that the world is talking about AI, and we have launched a course that is artificial intelligence and then machine learning, data sciences, and VRs are also coming up, ARs are also coming up in the classrooms. How do you think that the higher education will see a paradigm shift over the years?
Surely, because industry has already passing through this paradigm shift around the world. Industry 5.0 is on the horizon.
Right.
In India also. More and more automation will happen. There will be more and more use of disruptive technologies like AI, AR, VR, Internet of Things, 3D printing, quantum computing, etc.
Right.
So I think the higher education will get momentum by the use of smartphones,
Right.
which every young member of middle class is having. Smartphone. So the smartphone can create a revolution. Those who are not getting access to the formal sector of higher education, they will be able to join courses, online courses, and quality online education. Earlier there was a misconception, and it was a reality that distance learning or correspondence courses were not having the quality. Those who were not getting the admission, they were joining correspondence courses. But now there are many options in online education. All kinds of good universities are providing courses, and the cost is comparatively lower than the cost of pursuing higher education in a university or in a physical mode or atmosphere. So I think disruptive technology will surely help to find good students, to find good faculty, to accelerate our operations, and to give quick assessment to the students who are pursuing study. And it can also provide opportunity for customization of education, because in a classrooms all 60 students are not having the same background. Their level of learning is not same. Their cognitive abilities are not same. Whereas the teacher has to teach all the students together. So teacher has to take the lowest denominator, that if there are weak students, 10 weak students, then he will teach according to their standard. And the top echelon of the class, bright students will suffer, and they will feel boredom that whatever we know it is being taught, because there are some weak students. So customization may be possible, that the students after doing the classes, they will appear on some online test, and the online test will judge their cognitive abilities and decide what kind of questions should be asked.
Thank you so much, sir. And my last question, though the conversation is really going very fine and it doesn't allow me to stop myself, but then I would just like to close this with your inputs on valuable guidance for the faculties and the staff members and the alumni regarding what should they focus upon in near future, keeping in mind the NEP guidelines and the unfolding of the future of higher education.
My only message to my students, alumni and teachers is they have to work very hard for becoming lifelong learners. Because the learning was confined to earlier the courses that in India particularly, that do post-graduation, do PhD and then end of the learning. Now, learning will never end. Skills in industry and academia every third, fourth year will be changed. Industry will ask for the new skills. If we are not becoming self-learner or the lifelong learners, we will not be able to work according to the expectation of the industry as well as the expectation of the society. So we need to become lifelong learner. We should think about the needs of the weaker sections of the society. We should also do research, which is impactful research. There is a rat race for NIF ranking and nobody is caring about the impact of research. I will request my young colleagues that in research we should think about, can it be related to the local issues, local problems and the problems of the weaker sections of the society, the problems related to global warming, climate related problems, water scarcity problem, air pollution and also deprivations of all kinds, gender inequality. Our researches should be more and more in these areas. Sustainability is one of the biggest area and we should do research which can help those who have been not beneficiary of the growth of our country's economy as well as the growth of the world economy.
Thank you so much, sir, for sparing your valuable time and giving your insights to our viewers. And with your key takeaways of this particular session, that it should be lifelong learning that we should take into account. It should be the focus on the societal impact is also we are supposed to take into account. We are also supposed to take care of the climate change and how the climate is really going to impact the whole world. We should be very much careful about it. Thank you so much for your benevolent guidance and advice, sir. We look forward for your benevolent inputs.
Thank you, Navin. I enjoyed this discussion.